Yo YouTubers, it's me again and I'm afraid it's 23:31 on the 18th of February 2021, Thursday, and I went to shops earlier to actually buy a power bank, you know, a power bank for when I go touring or whatever, and you know, for my effects pedals and stuff. And while I was there, I thought, do you know what, maybe just one more review, eh? One more review for until I lose some weight. Because I've got to get rid of this big fat belly, like. It's got to go. You know what I mean? So, I've got a lower alcohol level drink. To get my conscience clear. But this is, I was sort of, while I was in the shop, I was like thirsty, right? And I wanted to do another review before I finish up, right, guys? By the way, quick word. Someone put a comment on my thingy for the Bushy's beer review, and it doesn't even show up in the comments. That's why it's weird. I don't know, you know, when someone puts a comment, it shows up in your notifications, but when you look under the video, it's not there, right? So what is going on with my channel, folks, right? But anyway, he put a little website address, and he said, these deliver Bushy's beer, and it's a company called Quirky Isle of Man or something, and they only post it. I've checked that like before. I did actually look into that before, so I checked it earlier. And they only deliver to people on the island. They don't deliver to anywhere else, you understand? So if you can get someone on the island to order it for you, and you can somehow get over there and pick it up, you know what I mean, either in a car. Because that's what, you know, the Isle of Man's revenue comes from the steam packets boat, doesn't it? Taking cars backwards and forwards. I mean, we've got to work that out, haven't we, somehow? You know, we've got to work it out, like, this business. We've got to get rid of all let's get rid of the Illuminati. Anyway, we don't want to go there, right? Here's a new beer for me to try. Moyo juice. Moyo juice, and it's tropical pale ale. And look at that, it's only 3.9%. So that makes it alright then, doesn't it? Any zealots, any religious nutcases and zealots watching, they're going to start judging people for drinking, you know. I mean, I don't mean good people, I mean zealots, you know what I mean? Zealots, what zealots do, mate. Have you ever seen Lawnmower Man? Have you ever seen the beginning of Lawnmower Man and his dad's whipping him on the back for being a naughty boy kind of thing? He's a priest or whatever, like, but that's what a zealot does, mate. They just want to punish. That's all they want to do is punish. I'm leaving it on the screen so that when I get it, the thumbnail, the cans on the camera, you know what I mean? It looks professional, doesn't it then? So yeah, it's a company called Brewgooder. And I picked these up in Aldi. So it's one of those limited edition, you know, it's not going to be on the shelves in Aldi for long. Brewgooder with this picture of a spade. See the spade? Looks familiar, that spade, doesn't it? Like a spade. I used to have a camping spade that got robbed off me. But anyway, we'll forget about that. Moyo juice, right? And it was the word tropical, I thought. If it's a nice taste, like a tropical taste, I could just go with that. I might just drink one can, just for the review. I've got 4 cans if I feel like carrying on. Look at the colourful can. Look at the colour. To my naked eye, that's, well, yeah, it is green, like. It looks bluish in a way, like. Some nice artwork on the can. Lots of colours. Loads of people having a drink there. Not in the lockdown, are they, mate? There's someone playing a saxophone there. And a guitar, there's me there, look. After all of this nonsense is finished, right. So let's do the old rundown. There's quite a bit of the description on this can. 3.9%, right. And it says ingredients: water, malted barley, oat yeast, hops, mango essence, passion fruit essence. Oh, passion fruit. Oh, I'm excited now. I'm now excited. Essence though, that's not really a natural ingredient really, is it? Right, but anyway. In Malawi, there's a saying, Madzi Ndi Moyo, which translates to water is life. At Brewgooder, we believe life is more than simply staying alive. Life is about dreaming, achieving, celebrating, and everybody deserves that opportunity. That's why we are on a mission to empower the lives of 1 million people through the power of craft beer. This tropical pale ale is a super juicy, incredibly sessionable beer to dream, achieve and celebrate with, knowing that by drinking it, you're helping others to do the same. 100% of our profits go to the Brewgooder Foundation. We are a living wage employer. And it says brewed and canned in London. Wow, all that tropical information and that, like Malawi or whatever, like Malawi. There's the saying anyway, if you can read it, like, you know, the, let's get the focus. It says like, oh, bollocks to that, eh? So that's quite a lengthy little description, isn't it? Tropical pale ale. And there's the Madzi Moyo Enterprise. That's it, isn't it? That's the place where they're all at, like. On the can there, like. I always look at the details on cans. What a sad anorak I am. Alright, we'll tell a story, eh? Just make sure that you do that. Tap the top of the can. And it won't fizz everywhere when you open it. Told you, didn't I? Right, smells fruity. Okay, I am addicted to it. Sorry guys, you know, people, I'm getting addicted to doing reviews, and it's not right. It's not right at all. It's wrong. See, I'm being guilty and going, you know, I'm hating myself and punishing myself verbally. We've got that pineapple juice look about it, hasn't it? It's a little can. And like I say, mango essence. And what was the other one? See if I can read it without me magnifying glass. Passion fruit essence. Like hay coloured, straw, almost yellow. It's hazy. Looks like pineapple juice, lilt, that kind of thing. In the totally lilt with a totally tropical taste. Right, I'll try and make this as quack as a kid. And I'll tell you a little story. Yeah, there's not much going on in the smell. It's like most of the others. You know the score with these things these days. But it's quite fruity. Definitely mango-y like. Right, let's dive in. Let's go. Opelia! Refreshing. The water's nice. Very delicate. A little tiny bit of a bitter aftertaste, which like pineapple taste. Sorry, grapefruit taste. A little bit of bitterness, but it's very sweet, almost like pineapple juice. You see the little bubbles and that there. It's kind of like quality. I was trying to get that. See, you know, when you see those little tiny bubbles there. That to me tells you it's just right. And you see the head's not going bonkers, is it? It's calming down. It's juicy. The passion fruit's coming through. Yeah, the passion fruit's lovely. I remember a soft drink back in the 80s called Quattro. Anyone remember that? If you go on YouTube and type in Quattro 80s advert drink, and it was a lovely drink. It had passion fruit in it, and I think it had mango in it, and that's what it reminds me of, a can of Quattro back in the 80s, but with a bit of 3.9 alcohol in it. I think I'm turning into a schizophrenic or something, because you know, when I turn the camera off when I have to finish these reviews, because I go, I'm doing this like a pantomime act, like, oh, it's lovely, this and that, like, you know what I mean? And then you press the pause, and then you're sort of just sitting there in your living room thinking, I feel like a right bellend now, you know what I mean? Like a right anorak. Nice. Okay. Yeah, the passion fruit comes through and the mango just right, which is very tropical. It must be gorgeous on a hot summer's day. This would be great on a hot summer's day. Let's just remind ourselves, Brewgooder Moyo juice. I don't know how many people I haven't checked anyone else has reviewed this yet, like, but it's in Aldi at the moment. It was on the shelf, you know, like, you know, not Aldi, you know, when you go where the beers are in Aldi, and all their wines and beers are all in the same place in that, like, sort of area they have at the back of the shop, yeah. And then you go walking around looking at the little baskets, don't you, in the aisles, and there'd be like beers in the basket areas on the shelves, like it's sort of hidden amongst like packets of biscuits and all kinds of weird stuff. It's weird the way they stock everything in odd bod places, isn't it, in Aldi? So yeah, that's actually tasty. 3.9%, so it's not too bad. And like I say, you see it's hazy, and it's kind of, it reminds me of a nice what do you call it, an imperial topaz stone, or a citrine stone. Got that, that's what it reminds me of, citrine, the stone. It's alright, it's alright. Anyway, my story, if I can get it in there quick enough. When we was in school, we used to play this game, right? And you know, we had what we call a common room. And this was my school, Birkenhead Institute. It was mad. It was like it was a nightmare to go there, because you got skitted at, you could have fights over nothing, you know what I mean? It was like, it was a kind of hell on earth school, you know what I mean? It was quite awkward, but the comedy there was so funny, you know, the madness of it. Birkenhead Institute. There were people from all over the world there, you know what I mean? It's just a lad school, you know what I mean? There were no chicks, so our hormones were all mental. We were all nutcases, yeah. And we used to play this game, and we used to have a common room, you know what they call a common room, where you can stay in there at break time, and you've got your own coffee making machine, you know, like a water tank to make cups of tea and coffee and that kind of stuff, and someone has to be in charge and that, like. But as soon as the teachers were gone and we had that common room to ourselves, we used to play this game called Silence in Court, right? And I don't know if any other schools have done this or invented. Let's just check the time, by the way. Is that one? 13 minutes. But yeah, anyway. Right, imagine, and it was just like the last year in the school. We were like in the 4th year, so we were all like 15, 16, starting to go, you know, I was becoming a punk rocker back then and all that, like. We were all a bit mad. It was a mad class, right? Some mad lads, hard lads as well, you know, some of the hard lads, they were like, they were tough and they were mad and boisterous and comical and everything, you know what I mean? And I used to get off, I was quite tough, you know, I looked after myself if anyone tried to bully me and that, like, but I used to get away with murder because it was a sense of humour. I had like a good sense of humour, and the big lads, or the hardest lads, you know, they'd never beat me up or anything, because I used to make them laugh, basically, you know what I mean? The lads who were tougher than me, kind of thing. But anyway, we used to play this game, Silence in Court, And what we'd do is we'd all stand in a circle looking at each other, right? There'd be about 5 to 10 of us, depending on how many people were in the common room, right? And the rule was you went, and we had like the wimps in the class as well, you know, they were like the lads who couldn't look after themselves and they were a bit like, bit weedy, you know what I mean? But they played silence in court too, right? And someone would go, silence in court, starting from now, right? And then we'd all have to go completely silent. And we're all looking at each other. And you know when you try not to laugh as well, you know, we'd be like sort of looking all at each other, like trying not to laugh. And the first person that made the noise, right, if you burst out laughing, or even if you just went, you know, or any noise of any kind, you know, if someone went, you know, something, a cough, anything, that person got beat up by all the other lads, right? Right, that was the rule, you know what I mean? And in the common room we had a stack of magazines, you know, Country Life, you know, have you ever seen Country Life magazine? It's like that, and when you roll them up in a like a tube, they were all truncheons, right? And so we'd all have a magazine in our hands each, rolled up like a truncheon. And you know, obviously the atmosphere would be silence in court, starting from now. And then the tension was like just, oh, it was just hilarious. It was one of those, you know, you had to be there to actually, it'd be great in a film, like if I made a film about my life and that, right? But we're standing there silent and not one of us, you know, we're trying not to make a noise. But obviously the tension makes you want to laugh, you know what I mean? And usually that was how you caved in. And, you know, it happened to me a couple of times. I'd be like that and I'd go, you know, burst out laughing, and then you're just seeing all the other lads coming at you with the magazines going, they're like battering your head with magazines, right? And if someone else got like burst out laughing, obviously I'd be the same. I'd have my magazine going, we just beat the pay. That was the rule. You had to take a proper beating with the magazines if you got like, you know. But we only went so far, to the point that, like, say you fell on the floor and in pain or whatever, you know, and you just sort of go, ah, and then everyone would stop, you know, and sort of go, and, you know, while it's all happening, we were laughing our heads off, if you know what I mean. If you imagine a room of, like, these lads, all these mad lads laughing their heads off while they're beating someone to a pulp. And the person being beaten up stops laughing, obviously, they sort of like go, ah, in pain and that, right? And then one day, there was, like, this weedy lad. He was like a weedy lad, like, and poor lad, he burst out laughing, right? But you know, because he was a weedy lad, and everyone knew that he wasn't going to fight back. Because it happened to me once. I remember I burst out laughing, and everyone's beating me up, right? And this one lad was being dead sadistic and hitting me over the top, and we nearly had a fight. I always remember going like, you know, I was going at, like, you know, taking the knock from everyone else, but this one sadistic lad was like really getting off on it, like going, you know, like really hit me like ridiculously, like, and I actually lost my temper. I was like, yeah, bastard, and we nearly had a fight in the classroom because of it, and everyone had to go, hey, stop, you know, like, because it was only over playing silence in court, you know what I mean, right? And this dude, this wimpy lad, because he wasn't the type of kid that he would have gone like, hey, he would never have fought back, you know what I mean? And there was a rule, we only went so far and left, and then once you'd been battered, it was over, you know what I mean, right? But this kid, he burst out laughing. Simon, his name was, like, I won't say his real name just in case he's watching, or as, you know, legal reasons and that, right? And in our classroom, the door was glass windows, like a typical, you know, an old school building, like with the windows like on the door. And some of the panes of glass were missing from the window, you know, because like some of the lads had probably smashed. They used to go around punching the windows in that school, you know what I mean? It was nuts, man. And anyway, this lad bursts out laughing, poor kid, he sort of goes, you know, like a little sort of like a wimpy little squeak. And the whole circle of lads went, and he starts beating them up, right? But I sort of backed in. I didn't go, I wasn't a sadist, you know what I mean? I just hit him so far, I just thought, oh, you know, it's time to stop. He'd let him go. He's a wimpy lad, you know, leave him alone. But the other lads didn't stop. They just carried on and on, right? And they were all like... They all had this like sadistic, psychopathic frenzy of some kind, right? Let's just check the time. 20 minutes, right? So he backed up. He sort of backed up. He was just being bombarded with these magazines on the head, body, whatever, just like. And they were all laughing with like wicked, horrible, like sadistic. All the lads were all going, ha 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 ha, you know, just beating this kid up. He was only a wimp, like, you know what I mean? And I always remember him, I sort of stood back and I became the camera kind of thing. I thought, oh man, this is too mad, like, to even, I'm not joining in, I'm just going to watch, like, you know, because that was the way it was, like. And he backed up against the door where there was a hole, you know, where the window was missing. And I always remember like watching, going, why don't they stop, they're going to kill him. And it was like, it sort of got serious, you know what I mean? But they were still just like relentlessly battered. They were like the nutty lads, if you know what I mean, the bullies or the nutcases, you know what I mean? They battered him, and he was like against the door like that, and he actually went unconscious, like, he was like... I shouldn't be laughing, really. But it was quite funny to see, right? And he's like, he leaned against the door, right? And I always remember him, like, you know, like as if he was like overacting, as if he was in a movie, like drama. You know, when people do a dying scene and he sort of go, he done this sort of like, closed his eyes and as if I give in, I can't fight back, I can't do nothing. And they carried on hitting him, right? He slid down the door. I just remember watching him disappear, you know, with over everyone's shoulders, like, he slid down the door and they did not give up, like, they were like, sadistic, like, violence outburst, you know, it was like American Psycho or something, like, you know what I mean? But there was like 5 or 10 lads all just joining in, battering him. And I remember seeing his feet coming out, you know, as the more he slid on down the door, like, his feet sort of came out from beneath, you know, from underneath there. All their legs were all in a circle, and his feet came out like that, like sort of like split like that, you know, on the floor, like, because he was down against the door on the floor on his ass by the time he'd sunk to the bottom of the floor, like. They would still carry on battering him with his head while he was on the floor. And then I was like, I've got to be honest, I was laughing my head off, you know what I mean? But I felt sorry for him, thinking, oh man, that's going a bit far, like, you know what I mean? And then you just heard this, like a voice go, stop, what are you doing? And then they realised that the hole in the window, you know, because they were all focusing on battering this dead kid on the floor. In his blazer, his school uniform, like a dead kid on the floor. He was almost... I was actually thinking, I think they've killed him, oh my word. They'd only magazines rolled up, like, you know. And the teacher put his head through the window. He actually put his head through the window, because he was outside trying to push the door open to stop them, what they were doing, but they didn't see him in the chaos, you know what I mean, because of the noise. And he put his head through the window and went, stop, what are you doing? You're going to kill that boy. Right? And his head was actually through the window, like, just shouting at everyone, going, what are you doing? Right, and I remember the silence, right? Everyone just stopped all of a sudden, right? They all went like that. I went, oh shit, it's the teacher. Do you know what I mean? They all stopped, like, with the magazines, right? And it was like, you know, like, you know, when you know, like 9/11, when all the papers were like, you know, after 9/11, there was like thousands of papers all floating everywhere, right? The pages were all still like, there was like magazine pages go, you know, drifting down to the ground from like, it was mad, like a really mad scene, right? So they all stepped back, you know, because the teacher was there. It was the only thing that was going to stop the frenzy, like, you know, like the psychopathic frenzy that they did, like. I've got loads of stories about this school, by the way, and they're just like, you wouldn't believe it. If you've seen it in a film, you go, that's exaggerated. No school would be like that, you know what I mean? So everyone sort of stood back, and the teacher was like, But because the kid was dead against the door, he couldn't open the door. And he was like down like a dead body, right? It's like, I just lowered the camera, like, the teacher's pushing the door and he's going. He's actually unconscious. And eventually sort of like, we moved him out the way the door was like, and he come in the teacher and he went mad with everyone, you know, he was like bollocking them like. And then he was like resuscitating this poor kid, like. He's going, "You okay? Come on, it's me, are you alright?" And he came round eventually. And the teacher said, like, "You're all on detention" or something. I can't remember what he did to the lads. You know, because I wasn't in. I'd actually stopped, hadn't I? I was like standing back watching it, like, along with a couple of other kids. Like, we didn't actually carry on being sadistic. You know what I mean? So he's like, "You're all on detention now," like, and he got the kid up. He stood him up and everything. He was going, "You're okay," and it took him ages to get his head together. He was like, "Yeah, I think I'll be all right, sir. I think I'll be okay." But like, the only word, that's what I do when I you know, the other week when I said I've got to try and stop talking to myself, I had to go silence in court starting from now. You know what I mean? And then I'll try and be silent. But can you imagine that tension in a classroom with mad lads, like, silence in court starting from now? And oh man, it happened loads of times though. You know, there was loads of lads got a beating, like, but that was just, you know what it reminded me of? Julius Caesar, you know, like, with the it was like Julius Caesar with Marcus Brutus and Mark Antony and that, like, where they all stabbed Julius Caesar, you know what I mean? And the weird thing, right, you know, years later when Tony Blair became famous and he appeared and he became the Prime Minister, I'm telling you, man, I used to look at Tony Blair and go, he done half remind me of that kid that got battered in silence in court, man, you know what I mean? So, like the Prime Minister's Julius Caesar or something, like. Alright, back to what time are we on then? 27 minutes, we're now just to a close now then. Okay, I'll wrap it up. This beer, man, it's alright. It's what I'm talking, aren't I? 3.9%. There we go. Gotta wrap it up quick, guys, because I'm on the 27 minutes. It's kind of watery. It's juicy and watery. Pineapple-y, mango-y, passion fruit. Not too gassy. The usual stuff. Nice water. I'll give that a 9 out of 10. It's nice, it's quality. No, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I'll give it an 8 out of 10 because it's not mind-blowing. But it's alright. Okay, I'm getting off. Yeah, I'll carry on having a bevy, like. Watch some films, I think. Okay, thanks for watching. If you want to hear more stories, put in the comments below. And I'll send me PayPal link. I'm only joking. Okay, thanks for watching. Get back to normal. Psychopathic. Press the pause button. Ciao.